Now, to look at the impact of Victorian shutdown, let's cross again to the twin towns of Albury and Wodonga. On either side of the Murray, on either side of the border, the closed border. We caught up with the Victorian Mayor of Wodonga, Speedie, and the New South Wales Mayor of Albury, Mack, a couple of weeks ago when all this just started. Let's catch up with them again. Thanks for joining us again, this time via Skype. First up, Anna, on the Victorian side, just how difficult has it proven for your community to be split by this border checkpoint?
Look, this has been really tough. Before it was hard and we made do and we got on with it and we put up with the traffic jams and we put up with all those things that normally in a regional centre you don't get. But this time it split families, it stopped people going to work, it stopped people going to their own businesses. So it's been pretty frustrating. That sounds pretty heartbreaking. Kevin, have you had similar experiences?
Yes, Chris, nothing's improved. I think it's just got worse. The border closures have become more stringent and the people are losing their patience, I think. And again, a lot of it's to do with the way the information is translated to our people and to us here in the border communities, right across all the way to Mildura and beyond. So I would have thought they would have solved this by now.
You've had some infections cross the border, Kevin. There have been some coronavirus infections in the Albury area. But in a medical sense, has the closures worked or are you still pushing perhaps for the idea, it seems that no Premier is interested in this, but the idea of shifting the checkpoint north of your town or south of Wodonga?
Chris, we haven't had any cross-seeding since the 3 infections 3 weeks ago. So essentially, a lot of our border residents have been tested and have done the right thing. Right across the border region, all the way to Mildura, there's been really no infections at all. I think the process that they're adopting is about shut the borders down, protect New South Wales, and there's no consideration about the significant economic impacts that is currently occurring in our economy here in Albury, Wodonga, and all the way to Mildura and all the way to Corryong. I think there's no discussion about that, and hopefully tomorrow we've got a meeting with the Small Business Minister, Damien Tudor. Hopefully he will enlighten us on what they're going to do.
Anna, let's talk about it from your point of view. There's been a lot of anti-Victorian rhetoric around the place. I know some Victorians who have been a bit annoyed by that. Now, you're probably going to get less anti-Victorian rhetoric around Albury-Wodonga because you are essentially one large community. But do you feel that the Victorians are copping the ire of the rest of the country?
Look, I think they are, but, ironically, Wodonga hasn't had any cases. So, to be locked out from our sister city just across the water seems crazy. And the impact on our people has been so significant. Not only are they losing their businesses, but I had emails and phone calls of people sobbing where they couldn't actually get to their family. And, for me, that's intolerable. It actually starts to feel like you don't live in Australia.
Well, it is crazy, isn't it? Because you can't go into Melbourne or Mitchell Shire. You've got that barrier within your own state, yet you're locked away from your twin city of Albury. It would make much more sense just to not go south rather than to prevent you going north.
Absolutely. And I guess the most frustrating part is the New South Wales government in particular seems just doesn't want to talk to us. They haven't included us in the thinking. So when we saw the latest changes come out, the zone that was put around Albury-Wodonga to allow some workers to travel missed huge components of my city, and it made no sense whatsoever. So people were going, I can't even get my kids to school. I can't go to work, or I can't drop them at childcare, let alone even crossing the border. So, without some local content, without speaking to, to the likes of Mayor Mack and I, it just seems ludicrous because the implementation has been appalling.
Just briefly, Anna, before I go to Kevin to finish up, what about Premier Daniel Andrews yesterday basically blaming Victorians for not isolating after they've been tested? And it turns out that Victorian official advice has been telling people not to isolate.
Well, every bit of message I've ever heard says is, if you think you've got symptoms, isolate. And even now, so if someone from Albury comes across to Wodonga and comes across to work, then they are supposed to isolate when they go home. And they're only 5 minutes away. So, and we haven't seen cases here. So, the messages have been mixed. I've got businesses ringing me because they're so confused and they can't get correct information. You know, we've got to get better at this as a nation. When we've got fires, we should get better at it. We should get better with something like this.
Indeed. And just finally, Kevin, just a little insight into this. I know as the neighbouring mayors of these twin cities, you and Anna used to get together quite often, face to face, and deal with issues, but you've been isolated as well. This is as close as you get.
Oh, no, look, we're managing to still do the right social distancing. Sometimes I should be further distance away from her. She talks too much. But, Chris, I think from the, as Anna indicated before, there's two states literally at war with each other at the moment in terms of the discussion about who should go and who shouldn't go and who should be here and who shouldn't be there. But there should be a federal response to these types of incidences, whether it's a bushfire, whether it's a pandemic, whether it's a cyclone, but there isn't. And significantly, this is a federal matter because two states are at loggerheads with each other and we're not getting any federal input. And to be honest, the federal members are showing a little bit of interest and Helen Haynes is doing a bit of work and so is Susan, but the general discussion is it's not our responsibility. Well, the health of Australian people is the responsibility of the federal government, and federation should not get in the way of that. And I really find this whole excuse of blaming, the blaming that goes through the whole nature of bureaucracy, a little bit tiresome. And Anna and I, if we weren't working with our respective cities, then nothing would be happening. And that's really the net effect of this. I mean, right to the issues with health in Wangaratta. I mean, they've underscored the issue that Wodonga and Albury supply a lot of nurses and people in allied health to Wangaratta, but you're not allowed to go there. So that reduces the effectiveness of them working together.
It is a shambles. Thank you so much, both of you, for sharing your frustrations with us, Anna Speedie and Kevin Mack. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much, Chris.